Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for checking out this video here on Show Style and Spirit. I am Ebony, of course. And as you can see from the title of this video, I'm definitely inspired to talk about Martell Holt's 2020 bankruptcy because it is reminiscent of the bankruptcy fraud that Abby Lee Miller from Dance Moms on Lifetime, if you remember the show, she got herself into a lot of hot water and she did go to prison. So hopefully this is some sort of warning for Martell Holt. So I'm going to get into her fraud case. We're going to head over to TikTok and shout out to Pinky, the housewife, who broke this story. She talked about, income discrepancies. And that's definitely, allegedly what Abby Lee Miller was accused of doing. Okay. And I found a Sun article about Martell's bankruptcy from 2020 and just the various tax years where he reportedly owed the IRS. So before we get into it all, I ask that you please hit the like button on this video and please subscribe to the channel. And of course, everything that I'm saying in this video is alleged and just my opinion. And the Copyright Act of 1976 says that my fair use commentary on the clips from TikTok will be allowed. All right, so again, I want to shout out Pinky, the housewife. She has been very diligent with collecting the bankruptcy documents, going through each of the bullet points, and talking about things that just sound a little fishy. And I was watching her live and she talked about, allegedly him claiming that he did not make any income. He did not earn any income in the year 2020, which was the year that he filed bankruptcy. And we all know that Love and Marriage Huntsville started airing on OWN in 2019. So presumably they would have started filming for season 1 in 2018. So he definitely had that income. And Love and Marriage Huntsville has continued to air. So even in 2020, he had that income. And Pinky the housewife was talking about, what are some possible ways that the income would have been documented? And in my opinion, I would imagine that reality TV stars are still considered self-employed. So the network or whichever entity pays them would issue the 1099. That would be my guess. And some people were referencing that as well. So then I think about a Schedule C on the tax returns, that's just what kind of like comes to mind, like for sole proprietors. But that's just my guess. I'm not a tax preparer, but that is, just a guess. So if it is, accurate, allegedly, he did not claim any income. I instantly thought of Abby Lee Miller from the hit Lifetime reality TV show Dance Moms. Now, if you were a fan of Dance Moms like myself, then you probably remember where Abby Lee Miller was accused of bankruptcy fraud after she filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And I'm going to get into some of the details verbally before we head over to TikTok. So Abby Lee Miller, she was sentenced to prison for bankruptcy fraud in 2016. She was accused of hiding more than $755,000 in income from her business ventures, including profits from her Lifetime reality TV show and spinoffs. She was also charged with failing to report an international currency, so foreign money, bringing $120,000 worth of Australian currency into the country without reporting it. Now, if anyone can remember when Abby Lee Miller took the girls, from her competition team over to Australia, they were performing in shows. I totally remember that. And back then, when the charges came down for the bankruptcy fraud, there were these rumors circulating that, she had that money in her suitcase and she legit brought cash back over to the States. One of the TikTok videos that we're going to watch Allegedly, homegirl sent some text messages, y'all, and I guess she thought she was making a joke, and those text messages were totally used against her. In terms of sentencing, Abby Lee Miller was sentenced to 1 year and 1 day in federal prison, 2 years of supervised release, a $40,000 fine, and a $120,000 judgment, baby. They actually tacked on a judgment in the same amount of her, which she was allegedly charged with bringing over in Australian currency. So this goes back to Abby Lee Miller filing for bankruptcy in December 2010. So nearly 14 years ago, she wanted to reorganize her debts. Her company exited the bankruptcy in 2013. Prosecutors said that Abby Lee Miller moved $120,000 in foreign currency to the United States from overseas, including England and Australia, without disclosing it on arrival. All right, so that was just from me Googling Abby Lee Miller bankruptcy fraud. I knew that I pretty much remembered it because, I was a fan of the show and was watching it all in real time. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and head over to TikTok for you all, and we're going to watch a couple of videos there. In my opinion, it definitely takes a lot of arrogance to be willing to lie to the bankruptcy courts about what you got and what you don't got, and then you run the risk of totally getting in trouble. So let's go ahead and hear about these text messages. Let me go ahead and mute my mic so that you all do not experience an echo, and then I'll come back with my commentary. Please hit the like button. Thank you so much.
Let's talk about the completely ridiculous way that Abby Lee Miller from Dance Moms was caught out for fraud. This was what was reported in Deadline at the time. Almost overlooked, the shifty details of Abby Lee Miller's fraud only came out by accident. If bankruptcy judge Thomas Agresti hadn't turned on the then relatively new Dance Moms on TV one night, the buried big bucks might never have been dug up. Agresti was overseeing Miller's pre-Dance Moms bankruptcy case, which looked to be winding up. However, while watching the show, the judge started wondering why the money from the show wasn't being included as part of the bankruptcy proceedings, which had Miller claiming a total income of $8,900 a month. So we had a few things going on. We had Abby not declaring some income, but we also had some customs fraud where Abby was taking money across borders without claiming it. And the way this was revealed is hilarious. So text messages were used as evidence in the court case. And as per Deadline, Abby was caught because she sent this text message to a group of people. She wrote, "We have all this foreign cash. Need a little money laundering." For the record, apparently that text was sent because Abby was asking her employees to put $120,000 into Ziploc bags and then put that in their luggage and smuggle it across the border. Abby was sentenced to 1 year and 1 day in prison. She also had to pay about $160,000 in fines. When handing down the sentence, the judge told her this: "You weren't truthful. Even when you were supposed to tell me everything, you still weren't truthful. Somehow you got caught up in the world of fame and you lost your moral compass." We are currently doing a 2-part series on all of the various dramas around Dance Moms, including Abby's prison sentence, but also just the batshit crazy show itself. If you click the link in our bio, you can listen to it now. Let's talk about the completely ridiculous way that Abby Lee Miller from Dance Moms was caught out for fraud. This was what was reported in Deadline at the time. Almost overlooked, the shifty details of Abby Lee Miller's fraud only came out by accident.
Okay, so you all heard that. Shout out to the Shameless Podcast. I love her accent, and she took her time. She read everything at a good pace. She attributed her sources to Deadline. And yeah, so can you all believe that the judge was watching TV and discovered the show Dance Moms? And I get it. Not everyone watches reality TV, let alone a reality TV show about a kid's dance competition team. But Dance Moms, if you were tuned in to the Lifetime Television for Women Network, that show was popping. It was definitely entertaining. And what I appreciate about lifetimetv.com is that all of their content is there. You can watch those old seasons of Dance Moms, definitely entertaining. Plenty of times, working from home, I've like pulled up Dance Moms. Now I pretty much will find stuff on YouTube, Netflix, or Hulu, but Dance Moms definitely has brought me through many a work days. But um, she outlined, the young lady from the Shameless Podcast, that the judge realized that one of the cases that they were presiding over, homegirl was on a popular reality TV show. She did not disclose that income. And when it came to getting the money over from Australia, the cash, she obviously told the promoters in Australia for all those dance shows that she booked for the girls to pay her in cash. And then she, sent out a joking text, need to do some money laundering. No, Abby, you must don't watch any of the Power books or Godfather in Harlem. Well, they didn't have text messaging back then with the Godfather of Harlem, but on Power, you definitely don't want to send out a text message like that. Okay, so then I remember this interview. This is going to be a short clip where Abby Lee Miller, she's going to reflect on when it comes to having to report cash, when it comes to having to tell the truth about your income and your assets when you're filing bankruptcy. She kind of has like this revelation because, of course, it's time for her to go to prison. So again, I'm going to mute my mic and then we will come back after this clip. Thanks.
So looking back, do you regret that you did that?
I'm not this horrible, evil person. I just made mistakes and I was stupid. And I thought because you're paying everybody back, it doesn't matter. The rules don't matter. But the rules matter. There are rules for a reason. There's rules so that people don't get hurt. You don't run at the swimming pool so you don't fall. I get it. I get rules. I have rules at my studio. I have rules about people paying their tuition. I get it.
So looking back, do you regret that you did that?
In my opinion, Abby Lee Miller was just crying in that interview because she realizes, oh my gosh, I have to go to prison. Like, I can't just have my way. It's kind of giving Diddy. Obviously, not the same type of crime. This is a financial crime, but it goes back to the whole arrogance thing and just really assuming that you'll never get caught. And I have a funny memory of Abby Lee Miller because, again, I followed this show like day in and day out. So it was reported one time, how like if you get a coupon, when you read the fine print, it'll say valid at participating stores. Well, Abby Lee Miller had this $5 off coupon for Pizza Hut. If you are familiar with this restaurant, if you have a Pizza Hut where you live. So Abby Lee Miller tries to go to a Pizza Hut and order a pizza. And she wanted to use this coupon. And this particular Pizza Hut location said, "Oh, we're sorry, ma'am, but we don't honor this coupon." She goes on her Instagram and Twitter, where she has millions of young, impressionable kids following her. She actually discloses the phone number to that particular Pizza Hut, and she asks all the kids to call them and give them hell because they would not honor this $5 off coupon. And the kids did it. And then once Pizza Hut realized where all of these kids were calling from, they actually were trying to like message Abby saying, please tell the kids to back off because they're tying up the lines. We can't get to everyone's pizza orders. But that was the type of person Abby Lee Miller was. And I mean, it was entertaining for TV, but extremely toxic at the same time. I have to admit, like, I remember Paige Highland from Dance Moms. I can remember seeing her have panic attacks on some episodes. And, she totally favored Maddie. Maddie was just in a movie this year called My Old Ass, a coming of age film. She didn't play the lead, but she was in a supporting role. And she totally favored Maddie. And so, she's definitely, not perfect. She has that arrogance, just like Martell. So she ended up spending a year in prison. So now let's go ahead and talk about Martell's bankruptcy case. I want to go to a Sun article that I found. So I'm going to pull it up. This is actually from May of 2023. So just under 18 months ago, just under a year and a half ago. And I was just Googling about, his 2020 bankruptcy. I think I must have Googled Martell Holt bankruptcy 2020. And this is what I found. And what I appreciated about this article was that quite a few of the details from the bankruptcy, they were all listed in the article very compactly, because again, I don't work in the legal industry. So analyzing legal documents is not my forte, it's not my thing, but checking out an article and it's in paragraph form, I can definitely get with that. So according to the U.S. Sun, and in court documents that the U.S. Sun obtained, they showed where Martell reported that he owed less than 50 creditors, but the dollar amount was anywhere between $1 million and $10 million. And some of the creditors that he said that he owed included his ex-wife Melody, American Express, Capital One, Lowe's, Home Depot, and the IRS. And at the time of his bankruptcy, he noted that his assets were worth between $500,000 and $1 million. Now, one thing that I did instantly find interesting was when this article listed that Martell filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy in October 2020. The reason why that stood out to me is that I thought he would have filed the bankruptcy for business owners, for businesses, which would be the Chapter 11. And so the way that I was taught for the mortgage industry is with Chapter 7 bankruptcy, from a credit perspective, to qualify to buy a home, that's like the most, your credit takes the most of a hit with Chapter 7, because there's not really, like, you're not paying those creditors anymore, like with monthly payments. But that is the case with Chapter 13 bankruptcies. So the hit to your credit scores is not as detrimental with the Chapter 13 bankruptcy as it is with the Chapter 7. But I just thought that to be interesting, because I thought that, he was a business owner. It's not like he was a W-2 worker. So I was just surprised that he filed the Chapter 7. But moving right along, when it comes to the IRS, reportedly, he owed outstanding amounts of over $76,000 in 2017, over $66,000 in 2018, and over $131,000 in 2019. And then he had his discharges. And again, with that Chapter 7, as it is reported here, it relinquished him from his responsibilities to pay the creditors. And reportedly, the judge even allowed him to keep his property in Huntsville. So his quote, air quotes, his property what came to my mind was that a marital property that obviously he and Melody would have sold and split the proceeds, unless he had an additional property just in his name. Maybe if it was a rental property at one time, that was something that came to my mind as well. And then the bankruptcy case was terminated in August 2021. And then the article, it went on to talk about, Melody filing bankruptcy as well. In my opinion, that was definitely a very smart idea, just to be protective of herself. Since he filed bankruptcy, she did not want all of that just dumped on her or the creditors coming after her. So, yes, I definitely thought of Abby Lee Miller from Dance Moms when I was watching Pinky the Housewives live. And definitely, if I was Martell, I don't know if he can go back and amend that bankruptcy. I don't know how that works, but he was definitely claiming income. He was on a very popular reality TV show, and no telling what other, here and there jobs he may have gotten in the area, perhaps as general contracting. It just definitely gives, dude, if they find out, if the presiding judge realizes that you're on the #1 reality TV show on OWN, could be, walking the path of Abby Lee Miller. But what do you all think about this? Do you think that, people are so audacious that they would actually hide income from bankruptcy judges? Do they really expect not to get caught, especially when your income involves you being on a TV show? What do you think will happen? Do you think that his bankruptcy judge will get with him in regards to the income issue? Do you see it becoming very serious for him, just like Abby Lee Miller? And it's not even a racial issue. She's white. She's a woman, but she's also white. That white privilege did not kick in. So what would that even do for Martell? It would just be 10 times worse. But I thank you all so much for checking out this video. Please hit the like button on this video, as it is a free way of supporting the channel. Then YouTube will recommend it to more people who enjoy discussing the various topics surrounding love and marriage Huntsville. And if you have not already done so, please subscribe to Show's Style and Spirit. I would love to have you as one of the showstoppers. I am so thankful that Friday is here. It will be a fantastic Friday. I'm a little exhausted. So I think just from the work week, I was off for 2 days. But yeah, sometimes when you have those off days, it can still make the work week feel that much longer and tiring. But I'm glad that Friday is upon us. And I hope that you all have an awesome night. And I will talk with you soon, God willing, and the creek don't rise. Bye.